A city in lockdown, the streets of Kabul almost deserted on election day. As polling stations opened, the biggest and tightest security operation ever in the capital was underway. The Taliban had warned people not to vote, and it didn't take long before the group carried out its threats. In Kunduz, there were attacks around the city aimed at disrupting voting. Roads were blocked and lines of communication cut. A mortar round was fired into the grounds of a school used for polling. Kunduz hospital confirmed civilians had been killed and a number were injured. Elsewhere, the Taliban launched more attacks, 2 north of Kabul, 1 in Helmand and 1 in Nangarhar province. No casualties were reported, but a number of people were injured in a blast at a Kandahar polling station. It didn't deter some others from voting.
Despite all the hardships and violence, we haven't lost hope. We have to vote and think about future generations.
This is Afghanistan's 4th presidential election. Government officials maintain the use of advanced technology and highly trained personnel are making these the freest elections to date. But there were reports of some polling stations failing to open and voters complaining that they hadn't been registered.
I came here to choose a person who can help the poor of this country, but they say I'm not registered to vote. It's not right.
At the last presidential election 5 years ago, there were queues of people waiting to vote at this polling station in central Kabul. On Saturday, it was a trickle and voting had to be extended.
It's very slow. We'll have to see. The IEC has extended for a couple of hours. We hope that people will come out and make their choice.
But as well as insecurity, people have also become disillusioned with politics in Afghanistan and the broken promises and failure to tackle corruption, poverty, unemployment and security. International aid agencies say the situation today is worse than 5 years ago, though not everyone agrees.
There is improvements being made. We cannot deny that. But there were also some threats. Taliban increased their attacks. So there were other factors that affected. There are so many other factors that affected.
More and bigger Taliban attacks had been expected, perhaps an indicator the group may be keeping its hardline element appeased, while at the same time pushing a diplomatic strategy for a resumption of peace talks with the US. They were abruptly cancelled by President Trump this month. The election results will be announced on November the 7th, but it's not just important who wins, but whether the other candidates and all the other groups accept them and agree to work with them. And in the fractured world of Afghan politics, that hasn't always been easy. And in 2014, it only happened because of the strong-arm tactics of the United States. Tony Birtley, Al Jazeera, Kabul.